Drop a comment and tell me, what grocery item feels absolutely ridiculous to buy right now? You know, that one thing where you look at the price tag and just shake your head. Everyone's got one. Mine is coffee. More on that in a minute. So here's the big news. President Trump just signed an executive order exempting a huge list of foods from what they call reciprocal tariffs. Those were anywhere from 10% all the way up to 50% on imported goods. And this isn't just tweaking the numbers. This is a major course correction. The list includes coffee, cocoa, beef, tomatoes, avocados, oranges, pineapples, coconut products, bananas, teas, and a whole bunch of spices. Basically, a lot of the stuff families buy every single week was getting hammered by these tariffs, and it was pushing prices way beyond what most budgets could handle. And here's the kicker. It's retroactive. The lower tariff rates go into effect starting from the day before the order was signed. They want this flowing through the supply chain fast. Now let me tell you what really drove this change. It wasn't just policy wonks crunching numbers. It was you. It was regular voters who were overwhelmingly frustrated with affordability, especially grocery costs. Exit polls from earlier this month showed that food prices were one of the top concerns for voters across the board. When the administration started seeing pushback in states they normally win, they paid attention. This is
That's so true. Stuff have got so expensive in the store. So expensive.
absolutely tied to the political pressure coming from people who are struggling at the checkout line every single week. The Tax Foundation estimated back in August that 74% of U.S. food imports were facing tariffs. Think about that. Almost 3/4 of the imported food in your grocery store was more expensive because of these policies. So when people walked in and saw higher prices on tomatoes, coffee, beef, bananas, and spices all at the same time, they connected the dots. Let me walk you through what happened with beef, because this one is wild.
I know I haven't had a chance to have me a steak in a long, long time. At least 2-3 months. I used to be able to buy a steak, just go buy me a steak. But now I haven't had a good steak in 2-3 months.
For the past year, the U.S. charged major beef suppliers, Brazil, Australia, New Zealand, Uruguay, tariffs so high that Brazil's effective rate topped 75%. 75%. That slowed down imports at the exact same time the U.S. cattle herd dropped to a 75-year low because of drought and high feed costs. So you had low domestic supply, sky-high tariffs blocking imports, and higher equipment costs from tariffs on steel and fertilizer. Everything stacked up into a perfect storm. That's why uncooked beef products at the grocery store jumped 12% to 18% in a single year. And ranchers weren't rebuilding their herds because the policy kept changing. One month it's tariffs, the next month it's quota changes, made long-term planning impossible. For families trying to put protein on the table, this was devastating. Ground beef became a luxury item. Steaks? Forget about it. Even cheap cuts were out of reach for a lot of folks.
Right. If you wanted a steak, you might well forget about it. If you're on a budget and on a set income, you might well forget about a steak.
Now let's talk coffee, because this hit close to home for millions of people. The U.S. slapped a 50% tariff on Brazilian coffee, and Brazil supplies about 1/3 of all our coffee imports. Vietnam.
Dang, 50%. I noticed that. But it been a while back, 2-3 months ago. Coffee was ridiculous. I used to go buy me some Folgers coffee anytime and catch it on sale. But 2-3 months ago, I couldn't catch no coffee on sale. And it was $12. You had to buy 3 to get them for $10. It was expensive back then. And I always can catch coffee on sale. Folger, $7.99, $6.99. Wow, 50%.
Colombia and other suppliers got hit too. This pushed coffee prices to a record $8.41 per pound in July. That's a 33% increase from the year before. Roasters started
Yep, that was around the time I seen the increase around July. It was crazy.
Paying 18% to 25% more for wholesale beans. Coffee shops added surcharges. And no one could avoid it because the US literally doesn't produce enough coffee domestically. So roasters and cafes had no choice but to pay whatever the tariff demanded and pass it on to you. That's why your morning coffee, whether you brew it at home or grab it on the way to work, got so much more expensive. Tomatoes became their own separate crisis. When Mexico got hit with a 17% tariff after a trade agreement expired, tomato prices jumped almost instantly. And Mexico is one of our biggest suppliers. That made everything more expensive. Pasta sauce, salsa, fresh tomatoes, canned tomatoes, ketchup. If it had tomatoes in it, the price went up. For families relying on affordable staples like spaghetti with marinara sauce or tacos, this was a real blow to the budget. Let me be very specific about who this hurts the most and who stands to benefit from these tariff cuts. Seniors on fixed incomes. If you're living on Social Security, maybe $1, $500 a month, and spending $400 on groceries, you felt every single price increase. Your check doesn't go up just because
And that's so true. I'm living on a fixed income, but I do get a $189 OTC card every month. It helps with healthy food, so that does help out a lot. But after I spend that $189, I still have to come out of pocket $200-$300 a month for food.
coffee costs more. SNAP recipients. If you're on food stamps, your benefits don't automatically adjust when prices spike. So the $200 in SNAP benefits bought less and less every month. Lower prices mean those benefits stretch further. People with disabilities. Same situation. If you're on SSI or SSDI, your monthly amount doesn't change. But when basic foods get more expensive, you're forced to make impossible choices. Single parents. If you're raising kids alone and already stretching every dollar, watching grocery prices climb month after month has been absolutely crushing. Even small price drops matter. Veterans. Food insecurity among veterans is way more common than it should be. Lower food costs mean one less thing to stress about. The working poor. If you're working full-time but still barely making it, groceries are one of your biggest expenses. This relief could be the difference between staying afloat and going under. So what exactly is covered by these tariff rollbacks? Here's the list. Coffee and cocoa, your morning coffee and chocolate. Beef, from Brazil, Australia, New Zealand, Uruguay. Fresh produce, tomatoes, avocados, oranges, pineapples, bananas, coconut products, tea, spices, cinnamon, nutmeg, and others. These aren't obscure specialty items. These are things regular people buy every week. So the impact should be widespread. Now here's the reality check you need to hear. Even though tariffs drop instantly on paper, prices don't. There's a whole supply chain that needs time to adjust. Coffee beans that were all
Right. We probably won't see the price difference until next year or something. They need to drop automatically, but they don't.
already shipped at the old tariff rate won't suddenly get cheaper. Beef that was imported under a 75% duty doesn't magically restock at a lower cost overnight. So the real question is, when will you notice changes? And the answer is, it's going to be gradual. Fast-moving goods like bananas might see price drops in the next few weeks. Coffee and beef might take longer, maybe a month or two. Some stores will pass the savings along quickly. Others might hold on to their
Right. You know, other stores going to hold on to it. You know that. That's what I figured next year.
margins for a bit longer. But the shift is starting now. Keep your eyes on your usual items over the next few weeks and see if it...
Oh, yes, I will. I will keep an eye on my stuff. That's why I'm waiting to the last minute to go to the grocery store to get my Thanksgiving dinner, because I will be keeping an eye on it.
anything changes. Here's something interesting that signals this might be more than just a one-off emergency fix. The administration also just created a new trade framework with Switzerland. that lowers tariffs from 39% down to 15%. That suggests the affordability push isn't just political panic. It's starting to look like a broader strategy, something bigger than just reacting to one bad news cycle. And honestly, this is a pretty major acknowledgement. For years, Trump said tariffs don't raise prices. But this move is basically admitting, yes, they do. And in some cases, they do so dramatically. So let's bring this back to what matters most, your weekly grocery bill. If you buy coffee, beef, fruit, tomatoes, spices, basically anything that isn't grown locally, you're in the group that might start seeing relief. Maybe it's 50 cents off bananas. Maybe it's $1 less for beef. Maybe it's cheaper coffee at your favorite store.
I'll take it. Maybe I could start back buying me some steak. I'll take $1 less for meat.
These don't sound huge individually, but when you're on a fixed income or stretching a tight budget, these little breaks add up. $1 here, $2 there, over the course of a month. That could be $20 or $30 back in your pocket. And I want to say this clearly, you're not imagining the struggle. You're not overreacting. Food inflation has been crushing people, especially older adults. People on SNAP, retirees, and families living paycheck to paycheck. Seeing a policy move that directly targets the prices you pay every week is meaningful. Even if it's late, even if it's imperfect, it's still something. And it's proof that when enough people speak up, things can change. While we're waiting for these price changes to flow through, here's what I recommend. Track your prices now. Write down what...
I will. I'll be looking back on old video to see how much stuff cost then and compare it to now. I will be checking.
What you're currently paying for coffee, beef, bananas, tomatoes. That way you'll know if things actually improve. Watch for sales. As stores start getting lower cost inventory.
Oh yeah, that's what if everybody would shop only on sale, we the people, we got control of this really in our hand. We just need to use this control. If everybody would start shopping only for items that's on sale, these stores would go down.
They'll compete for your business. Keep an eye out for deals. Compare stores. Some retailers will pass savings along faster than others. If your usual store isn't dropping prices but another one is, vote with your wallet. Join community groups. Local Facebook groups often share info about food distributions and deals. Look, I'm not going to pretend this fixes everything. Prices are still way higher than they were a few years ago. Even with a 10 to 15% reduction, we're still dealing with inflation that hit 25% over the past few years. But here's what I know for sure. Every little bit helps. If you can save even $5 a week on groceries, that's $20 a month. That might be your phone bill. That might help with the electric bill. That might be the difference between stress and breathing room.
Yeah, prices going down. Hopefully we will see this very soon. But mostly it's probably going to take next year. Like he said, it take time. So yeah, guys, keep track of how much this costs and how much it cost 3-4 months ago. Keep track, and I sure will be keeping track. But anyway, guys, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye. Love you.